The similarities between Darth Vader and Darth Revan are really uncanny if you closely think about it. Unfortunately, everything we're about to discuss right now is not canon, and Legends holds a lot of stories about Darth Revan that we are still waiting to be canonized in the modern Star Wars universe. But in today's video, I want to talk about in Legends lore what happened when Darth Vader discovered the ancient Sith called Darth Revan, his history, his mask, and everything that Darth Revan stood for. You see, there is a correlation between Darth Revan and Darth Bane. It is these two Sith that are thought about to have created the rule of two that Palpatine and Darth Vader know about today. So how did this change Vader's life, and what did he think and read about Revan and his mask? With recent novels and books such as, for example, Lords of the Sith and many others similar to that novel, in the new canon we can clearly see a pattern where Darth Sidious started to hate the notion that he had to abide by only one apprentice. The same could be said about Darth Vader. At times in canon and many times in the expanded universe, meaning in Legends, Vader would go out of bounds and try to recruit his own apprentice, just so that they could together then defeat Emperor Palpatine and take his place as the ruler of the galaxy. Both of them, of course, did not succeed in this endeavor until Palpatine had his sights on Vader's son, Luke Skywalker. What Disney is slowly trying to build is the relationship between all the Sith at all times. In the expanded universe, the ancient Sith did not approve of the methods of Sidious and Vader. Similarly, when reading about the ancient Sith, Vader had his own qualms about how they handled their transference of power, especially with these two Sith, Darth Revan and Darth Bane. Their legacy would go on to change the Sith forever. Well, here comes Vader with his emotional past and his emotional present. How Vader felt about the rule of two in the beginning when he became Darth Vader. How he felt about the rule of two, then we will move on to how he felt about the rule of two after a while, after a couple of years, but mostly the thoughts that Vader created about the man who invented the rule of two, and therefore got Vader stuck with an obsessive master in Sidious. All of what I'm trying to say is that if it wasn't for the rule of two, Vader would have been able to freely train his own apprentice and not hide him as he did with Starkiller. The main connecting line for this video is Starkiller, in my opinion. I mean, he's the focal point. If it wasn't for these stringent rules, Vader might have finally defeated Sidious. Now granted, yes, the Sith might have not been wiped out if it wasn't for the rule of two. I understand that, but for the purpose of this video, let's discuss why Vader loved the rule of two at the start in Revenge of the Sith. It's because in his mind, if he wanted control and power, Sidious was his only way to achieve that. Well, thankfully the rule of two was there for Sidious to take Vader as his sole apprentice and rule the galaxy together, only those two. But the problems came way later, when finally Vader accepted that he just couldn't defeat Sidious alone. He was too restricted with his injuries and suit. He was realistic enough to understand that his biggest problem now was that he officially couldn't get a new apprentice because his master just wouldn't allow it because of the rule of two. And so what did he do? He went to train Starkiller in secret, all with the intention of killing Sidious in the end. You can clearly see that by the end, Vader hated the rule of two, thinking back to Revan, who ultimately inspired this notion of the rule of two. I think it's safe to say that Vader was inspired by the likes of Bane and Revan in the beginning of his Sith career. You can freely even say that he admired those people. But by the end, he understood that it was all a lie. His master Sidious had poisoned his mind with so much of his lies that I think he was just done. He was going to destroy everything that Sidious and the previous Sith built and start over from the beginning, together with his son, as we see by the time that we watch Empire Strikes Back. Revan and everyone else had failed in Vader's eyes. They had failed to create a perfect system. By this rule of two, Vader would never get a chance. Now quickly, because I know a lot of fans will want a comparison between Vader and Revan, this is an interesting fight because these two are extremely similar. They were both Jedi war heroes back in the day. They turned to the dark side and then they became Jedi hunters. But in the end, they were redeemed in a way. Revan was known for his versatility, being well versed in all forms of lightsaber combat and at least capable with most force powers. His resume speaks for himself. He defeated Mandalore the Ultimate, a warrior on par with Jedi killers such as Jango Fett and many bounty hunters who are known for their cunning. What's more interesting, Darth Revan is kind of technically the only Sith from his time that was technically undefeated in duels, being defeated by Vishay before he was a Sith when he was a Jedi, and he was captured as a Jedi after being blown up by a starship. He was capable of defeating Malak, who was a superior duelist, likely by outsmarting him and outlasting him in the end. This concludes that Darth Revan was a tenacious fighter, and with his main strength being versatility and stamina. Now, Vader was known for his overwhelming power. He too was a master of all forms of lightsaber combat, but in his mechanical form he became more of a pragmatist and Genso in several offensive force powers such as Force Crush, Pull, and Push. He defeated entire armies of rebels single-handedly. He took on multiple Jedi in the Trap of Kessel. All in all, Darth Vader suffered very few defeats during his time as a Sith Lord and was even considered by Palpatine to have surpassed the legendary Darth Malgus. Well, Vader was a power user. He crushed you with his relentlessness, and his mechanical body gave him that strength advantage. Very few beings in the galaxy can sustain more than 1 or 2 blows from him. This would kind of conclude the comparison, but what do you guys think as well? Talk to us down below in the comments. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below, subscribe for dailies. Now you have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you until then.